Thank you, Sally and Joe. It is, of course, a very great pleasure and honour to be speaking here at Sustainable Brands London. And, of course, both Maria and myself would sincerely like to thank Koan and the entire Sustainable Brands team for inviting us to share some of our experience and insights from Holonomics. Of course, the great theme for this year has been reimagine, redesign, and regenerate. And these are three very powerful words. So what we'd like to do this morning is share with you some of the ways in which we've been putting these concepts into practice, how we're helping organizations to develop truly authentic, sustainable brands, and how we can begin to make the move from economic brand value to what we call holonomic brand value.
Good morning. For us, the word holonomics is the combination of the words wholeness and economics. Holonomics is not a new methodology, framework, or toolkit. Holonomics is an expansion of consciousness, which allows us to truly understand the system and which develops within us a new way of seeing.
So, of course, many people say that in order to solve complex problems, we need a higher level of consciousness, or as Maria said, a new way of seeing. And we can develop this higher level of consciousness by upgrading our mental operating systems to one that we call the Holonomics operating system. So in the business world today, which is very much dominated by technology, thinking is valued above all other ways of knowing the world. So thinking is logical, rational, symbolic, and conceptual, which is great, but it can and does separate us from the world. Feeling is opposite to thinking, and feeling is not emotion. It is through feeling that we develop a sense of connection to other people and to nature. Sensing is being immersed in inhabiting the sensory world. So this is the way of knowing of painters and artists, photographers and chefs. And whereas sensing is very concrete, it is intuition that develops within us a deeper sense of the meaning of phenomena. So it's intuition which gives us new insights, scientific discoveries, and new ways of seeing. Now, rather than talk too much more about the theories and philosophy of holonomics, we'd actually like to share with you a real case study where holonomic thinking was introduced into the very heart of the strategy of a major organization. And this will help you better understand holonomics in action. Hospital Syrio-Libanese is one of the most important hospitals in Latin America, and it has a base in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The hospital is philanthropic, so it has a not-for-profit business model. And over the last few years, the senior team had been developing their strategy and strategic map, which of course had people, sustainability, and philanthropy as three of the major pillars. But the great challenge, of course, was how could the hospital communicate this strategy to the entire hospital, to every person at every single level? So together with the strategy, the marketing, and the HR teams, I was actually asked to create a communications event to enable them to do this. And so the event we created, it had as its foundation the philosophy of wholeness of holonomics. Now, we don't have time this morning to show you every single aspect, but we would like to show you a few photos of what did actually happen. My company, Holonomics Education, takes people on learning journeys from traditional mindsets to transformational mindsets, and we do this using dialogue, storytelling, gamification, and experiential learning. And the event we created used all of these elements. So over the course of 1 week, we ran 1 hour-long sessions with up to 100 people each. And on these tables, you see a real mixture of people: doctors, surgeons, nurses, secretaries, administration staff. So the idea is that each table is a mini representation of the hospital as a whole. And we decided not to communicate the strategic map because very few people would have understood what that was or been able to relate to it. So what we did, we actually told the strategy as a story, which you can see laid out along the length of each table. So we had doctors and surgeons listening to secretaries and nurses tell the story of how the hospital was going to overcome its challenges and reach the year 2020. So this represents the breaking down of the social and cultural hierarchies, and the beginning of a movement into the experience of wholeness. We then asked people to discuss specific challenges and how they could overcome these challenges together. And then we asked people to create a model or a story that represented the solutions that they had discussed. And I love this photograph because it really shows everyone uniting together in the exercise. And again, the social hierarchy is beginning to melt away, and something new is being allowed to emerge. At the end of the sessions, 3 or 4 tables would present back to the group as a whole their solutions and ideas that they discussed. And this particular group, they decided to hold hands spontaneously as they shared their vision. And again, I love this photograph because it really shows the great feelings of being a part of an authentic whole. And it shows the great feelings of pride and happiness that everyone has in their work at Hospital Syrio-Lebanese. I'll translate the phrases on this model in a minute, but it's worth remembering that the person who wrote these didn't come from an expensive marketing agency, but was actually quite junior, but showed great wisdom for their age. So at the top, it says, the key to sustainability is the consciousness of everyone. And at the bottom, it's very poetic in Portuguese. Illumine sua mente, pense no meio ambiente. And that means illuminate your mind. Think of the environment. I think that's quite amazing. A key phrase that came up time and again was calor humano, and this translates literally as human warmth. And calor humano are the feelings, care, and empathy towards others that everyone at the hospital really felt made the hospital a very special place to work. And so it's calor humano that every patient and family member and friend experience when they visit the hospital. And so calor humano is the strategy as it comes to presence in each and every person. And when you have each and every person expressing this level of depth of the brand, then you know you have authentic and holonomic brand value. This sandal of humility, for us, I think it was one of the best drawings created at the event, but it does require a little bit of an explanation. The sandal of humility was a recurring sketch on a Brazilian comedy show. And every week, 2 comedians would chase after a very glamorous Brazilian celebrity. And they would ask them to literally take off maybe their high heels and put on the sandals of humility to show that the celebrities hadn't totally lost touch with the great Brazilian people. And it was incredible. The person who drew this, they stood up in front of everyone and they said, you know what? Sometimes I just wish some of the doctors could wear the sandals of humility and maybe listen to us every so often, because we have important contributions to make to the hospital as well. It was absolutely incredible to listen to this particular person really speak their truth in front of everyone. So again, for this person, the sandals of humility are the strategy. And this is how the strategy and the brand and the vision and the very essence of Hospital Syrio-Lebanese is being expressed through this person. This is Dr. Paulo Chapchap, and he's one of the 2 joint heads of the hospital. And both Maria and I, we find him a very inspirational and authentic leader. And it was really interesting watching him at this particular session, because for the majority of the time, you know, he wasn't talking, but he was listening and really observing. And he wasn't trying to impose his opinion on other people. He was really trusting in the process and really allowing each and every person to express what they needed to express. And I just feel that there still aren't that many senior executives at his level that have Dr. Paulo's level of humility and presence and an ability to really see each and every person in the whole organization. Now we spoke to Dr. Paolo and we actually asked him, well, what were the results and what was the impact of introducing holonomic thinking into the strategy? And he said, well, from now on, for this type of project or process or event, I only want us to use holonomic thinking, and I don't want to return back to the traditional way of doing things because it's so powerful. And the example of Dr. Paolo as a very authentic leader leads us into the final aspect of holonomics we'd like to discuss, which is the role of the 5 universal human values. These 5 human values formed the basis of a program, Human Values in Education, which was created in India in the 1960s by the educator Satyasai Baba. And for Satyasai Baba, the great aim of education was the development of character. And these 5 human values of peace, truth, love, right action, and non-violence are extremely powerful because they speak directly of relationships.
And so these 5 human values mean that we have to be in peace with ourselves. Our thoughts, speech, and actions must all be in alignment. So we have really to be committed to the truth. We have to have love for everyone and everything. We have to act correctly in order to be reliable and transparent. We have to be non-violent, and this means exactly to be committed to
And really listening to me.
To listening to the others, to listening, to have a truly dialogue. So these 5 human values, they develop wisdom, they help people to really make better choices, to have a better lives and to be happy. That is what we really believe.
Yeah. So to summarize, it's not enough just to measure a brand economically, because we don't just encounter a brand in our rational minds. We connect with brands through feeling. We interact with brands through sensing, and we come to know the deep authenticity of a brand in our intuition. And this level of authenticity, it can only be truly achieved with the presence of these 5 universal human values. So we'd like to finish with this particular quote, and this for us really summarizes and captures the essence of what we think of as a truly authentic, holonomic, and sustainable brand. Brands are a perpetual becoming, or they are nothing. Brands are not a thing to be known or controlled. They are a magnificent, mysterious odyssey to be experienced. So thank you very much for listening to us this morning. Maria and I had a very excellent time at the workshops yesterday, and we do hope to be able to speak to more of you over the next 2 days. And finally, we'd very much like to thank Koan and the team once again for inviting us here to Sustainable Brands London, and also especially Koan for you and the team and this amazing vision and incredible global network and very special event that is Sustainable Brands. Thank you.
Thank you.